and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country.
You know, like the racists are actually just jealous of Somalis because of how successful we became in a matter of one generation.
I am sick and tired. We want you out of here, not because we're jealous of your so-called success, not because Black Americans are jealous of your so-called success, okay? We want you gone because you don't assimilate. You bring your non-Western, non-Christian culture to America and think that we shouldn't have anything to say about it. And Tim Walz is just trash, absolute trash. Welcome back to another episode of Archie's Briefings, you guys, as well as to the channel of Pocket Politics. I'm your host, Arshel Branch. And, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell, especially because my schedule, you guys, I'm in hospitality. The hours change. So that's why you hit that notification bell, so that way you're always made aware of when my episodes are being released. Definitely get into the comment sections, because I definitely want to have this conversation with you guys about what we think about the Somalians going away. Do you think that we're jealous? Because I don't think we're jealous, okay? Like, at all. I love it when he comes out and he speaks like a New Yorker. I love it. They come here, they come from hell, and they come and they complain and they bitch. Excuse my language. But I loved it. I chuckled when I heard it. I loved it. And when I heard him say it, I said, and this is why we love you. This is why it's hard to hate you, hard not to like you. Even when he does things I don't support. It's like something like this. He says, this is why I like you, because you say it how it is. You don't play politician and trying to edify it. You're just calling it out for what it truly is. I got an issue with this. I completely agreed with him. Ilhan Omar is trash. She is garbage. I don't want her here. The woman marries her brother. And we don't think that's a problem. It's incest. That's a problem. That's a real problem. You don't do that. You don't come to America and think it's okay to marry children. You don't come to America and become pirates of the welfare state. 88% of the Somalians in Minnesota are on welfare, but they drive nice cars. Oh, well, we have businesses. Is it possible that you're getting money from the state? Because that's what we just found out. We're very much aware that Tim Walz was aware of this, that he did absolutely nothing to do this, because most likely he was afraid of being called a racist. You're afraid of being called a racist when you have a group of people out here actually committing crimes? Seriously? I have the same issue when Black Americans try to say that they should be allowed to get away with crimes because they're Black. I got an issue with that. Yeah, no, you don't get to just blame your skin tone, okay? I'm not so quick to say it's race. And because they were afraid of being called a racist at the time, he just let them get away with it. We already have a community in America who does that. They're Black. I got a problem with it. And I'm like, I already got to tolerate that with Black America. I'm not trying to deal with that coming from immigrants. Yeah, no, you could take your bags, pack them, and leave. You can't make a decision about what's best for the American people without thinking about Somalia. I got a problem with that. And the video that I showed you guys at the beginning of this lady saying, we're jealous because they're successful, that Allah has blessed them to find opportunities where others may not have found them. Well, if Allah blesses you so wonderfully, go be blessed by Allah in Somalia. This nation is Christian. Here, Jesus is king. I got a real issue with people who want to disrespect his authority in this nation. I got a problem with that. A huge problem with that. You don't get to come to America, take up the territory, get yourselves elected into office and think that you're going to be able to change the culture, the heritage, and think that we're okay with that. Ilhan Omar says, Somalians have, believed themselves to be a part of the fabric of this nation. That's a delusion. You were not a part of the fabric. You didn't even try to become a part of the fabric. You did not assimilate, okay? The idea of immigration is that you come to America, you left whatever country you came from because it wasn't working for you. There's a reason why it wasn't working for you. You came to America because there was opportunity. And the reason why there's opportunity is because it's blessed by Jesus. It's because out of the kindness and the graciousness of the American people, we allow you to come here. That's why. And if you're going to take advantage, then how about I just take the opportunity away, okay? I giveth, I taketh away. Now, there were some people on, in the ethers and the internet saying why they weren't sure if President Trump was actually going to do this. There was a conversation between Dave Smith and Nick Fuentes. And Nick was saying, it's always been the case in how we did our politics. People go to office because they're trying to get for their people, for their communities. And, whites have done this, blacks have done this, blacks still do this. Of course, we saw this with the reparations argument, right? Here's the interesting thing about black folk, because when I heard that, when my sister and I were talking about that conversation between Nick and Dave Smith, it was, you know what makes me think about black people? Blacks run around here saying they're African American, but when they send their, representatives like Jasmine Crockett into office, they don't argue for Africa. They argue for the black folk in America. I don't want reparations for Africa. I want reparations for my people, Black America. You see what I'm saying? They'll call themselves black. The blacks will say that they are African American. They'll say it. But they're not trying to do for Africa. They're trying to do for themselves here at home. White America is no different. They're trying to do for themselves here at home. They're not trying to send money to European countries. I don't see nothing about the Italians getting money and sending it to Italy. I don't hear nothing about the Irish Americans saying that they want to get money and send it to Ireland. The British who come here, I don't see them trying to send money to the monarchy. Like, they don't come here to send money to the countries in which their families left. They make money so they can better their lives and create generational wealth here in America. That's what they're trying to do. Blacks, no different. They're not trying to make money and send it to Africa. I got family who, from the islands, right? They're from the Caribbeans, but hello, they're not making money and sending it over there. They keep it here at home. The Somalians, they don't do that. In fact, the money that they've been getting from the taxpayers has been funding terrorist organizations. I have the same issue with the, the pro-Israel and the Zionists and the Jewish Americans who want to support Israel. I got an issue with that because they do the same thing, whether they're natural born citizens or they immigrated here. That's irrelevant. That's a whole other conversation. We're going to talk about them another day because there is something that needs to be said about what the pro-Israel movement and the Somalis have in common. We're going to save that for another episode. But as it relates to the Somalis, you bring your third world beliefs with you. You try to implement Sharia, because even here in Texas, you guys, Governor Abbott had to pass a law to ban Sharia law because there was a Sharia court that was taking place in Texas. He's actively in court, I believe, trying to prevent a group of Muslims from purchasing a territory where they can make it Little Islam, denying anyone who isn't Muslim from going in. No. You don't get to come in here and say that we have no business being there because you are not this group or you're not a part of this group. Okay. What they were trying to do in Texas was buy up an area and to keep anybody who wasn't Muslim out of it. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. I don't see Little Italy doing that. Little Italy is not saying, oh, black folk can't come here. No, I like your Zeppelis. They know we like their Zeppelis. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I don't want you in America. Now, I can't do nothing about the natural born citizens who don't have a relationship with Jesus. That's between them and the big guy. All I can do is to continue speaking and hopefully point them to the cross and they find Jesus. But for those of you who immigrated here, I don't even got to waste my breath. Get out. You're not even trying to become a part of the fabric, as Ilhan Omar likes to say. No, you're not a part of the fabric because you didn't even try. You are a stain, is what you are. Okay? I'm ready to run your behind through the washing machine, okay? Till you come out red, white, and blue. Hello. If that's not happening, you can leave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. If you cannot say it, mean it, and want to do what's best for it, then you can leave. Somalians, you're pirates. Your culture says it's okay to marry children, that it's okay to mutilate women, that if you take up territory, you're going to deny anybody who isn't a part of your group. And if you feel, like I said earlier, if you feel like, as that chick said, that Allah blesses you so much, go home to Somalia and make it something, okay? President Trump was not wrong. They come here, they complain, they bitch. Excuse my French. Hey, why we think it's okay for immigrants to come up in here and run for office like we're going to end up with another Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I don't think that's going to happen again, okay? It's not. Just not. Ilhan Omar, Mamdani, this man wasn't born here yet. He was able to run for office, and now guess what? You got an Islamic Democrat socialist. So you got an Islamic commie in office in New York, the biggest financial capital of the world, and you got an Islamic communist running things. Are you kidding me? And if anybody tries the same thing about him or go after him, if Governor Hochul of New York tries to do or go after him at all, she's a racist. And I got my issues with Hochul, but my goodness, she can't even do anything because, oh my goodness, he is not white. Therefore, she's a racist. No, this is the problem, you guys. Tim Walz had that issue. If you try to say anything, and they even said in their own documents, they said, okay, that if you try to come after us, if you don't allow the funding, which is the fraud, to continue, then we're just going to claim discriminatory actions and that you are racist. And because everybody was afraid to be called a racist during 2020, guess what? He let it continue. He let it go on. And that is a problem for me, you guys. I have a serious issue with people who want to come at my king, who want to come at Jesus Christ, who try to say that this nation isn't a Christian country, who try to say that Jesus is not the one in control of everything here, that we are getting our blessings from other beings that's not Jesus Christ. And if you feel that way, go where it's accepted, okay? This isn't about me saying, oh no, Muslim isn't real, Islam isn't real, Allah is not. Like, I'm not having that debate. That's not for me. I'm no theology. I'm not in theology. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for a religious debate. I'm someone who was born and raised in the faith, I believe, because I'm trying to do my hardest to do what's right, to live by the Lord's word, because he said so. That's the difference between being born and raised in the faith and coming to it as an adult. You believe because he said so. Sorry, it's enough. He died for me. That's a reason. He washed what we would call a commoner or a peasant's feet. Name one king who would die for his people. Name one king who would bathe the feet of a commoner, because my king did. Jesus did that for us. We were blessed as a nation because we believed in Jesus Christ. Blessed be the nation who believes in the Lord. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's what it is. That's what's happening here. And I do not believe that the Somalians have assimilated. They were not trying to appreciate the reason for why they were even allowed here. Okay. Some of them have come here since the 90s and they still don't get it. They don't understand that the reason for why we've allowed for such immigration is because of the kindness out of our heart. It is because we're Christian. Okay. Because we don't like the idea that you're being persecuted. We don't like the idea that you're being treated like trash. If we have the ability to give you the home, the community, then why not? Right. That's what it means to be Christian. Yeah. This far, no further. The line must be drawn here. I'm quoting Patrick Stewart out of Star Trek, First Contact, because that's how it feels. They invade our space and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds. In this case, they take up entire communities, entire neighborhoods, and we fall back. The line must be drawn here. This far, no further. No further. And this administration will kick you out. I am with it. No, lady, we're not jealous. We want you gone because you disrespect Jesus. You're not a part of the fabric because you refuse to assimilate. Your culture is inferior and you move around in America like you somehow are better than us. I got a problem with that. Yeah, no. Now, the one thing I will say about Black Americans, you guys, is that, they're quite consistent. Blacks are definitely consistent. They really don't like any minority who shows you can be a minority in America and be successful. It's why I don't believe they like the Jewish community very much. I mean, it's a little bit more deep-seated with the Jewish community because, they don't believe in Jesus. But it's also the same thing with the Somalis, because they don't have that much of an issue with the Hispanic community, which is just another minority, and they don't have much issue with the Native Americans either. So is it because they're minorities who are successful? Because Hispanics are doing better than Blacks. That's what the statistics are showing. And Native Americans do better than Blacks. Again, that's what the statistics show. Because the statistics would show Blacks don't have an issue with every minority. They have an issue with the minorities that don't believe in Jesus. That's what the numbers show. Okay? They take issue with the Jews and they take issue with the Muslims, but they don't take issues with the Native Americans and they don't take issue with the Hispanics. I mean, I'm making an assumption, but I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Okay. Blacks are not out here advocating for Africans. They're not advocating for Africa. They are advocating for themselves. Black conservatives, white conservatives, Hispanic conservatives, really the entire conservative movement, whether you are MAGA or America First, we all out here advocating for the same thing. We want a strong economy. Morality implemented back into our society, particularly Christian ethics implemented back into our society, where things like OnlyFans isn't allowed to continue, and people who want to twerk at Lululemon are shunned, and no one is called a racist because of it, okay? I want Americans to be living according to the word of Jesus. And that's how America First feels. That's how MAGA feels. And if that's not what you're about, then that is a problem. Again, we can't really do much about the natural born citizens. Okay. But as it relates to these immigrants who come, they don't assimilate, They don't accept that we are a Christian country. They want to change the fact that we are a Christian country, implement their laws, their courts, get away with whatever crimes they want to commit. But they come from these areas, they come from these countries, they bring their nonsense thinking with them. Their standard of ethics is beneath that of the Christian way of doing things. Their faith says it's okay to lie, but our society says, yeah, no, that's perjury, obstruction, and a pow-pow from your mother. We don't agree with that. But it's okay for them because they're Muslim. That's a problem for me. Again, this isn't about having a religious debate here. I'm not here to tell you that one thing or other about your faith. You want to believe in Allah, that's your business. It's between you and the big guy upstairs, okay? What I'm saying is this is a Christian country and you don't get to just implement Sharia law because you think you have a say-so in this. You do not. And if that's a problem for you, you can leave. And I'm okay with that. You're absolutely right, Mr. President. They come here, they complain. 88% of them on welfare, and they drive in nice cars. They committing crimes. They not, assimilating. They ruin the language when they speak. And I got a problem with it. It's about time something has been done. And my goodness, Mr. President, just one side note. If you can figure out a way to get rid of Ilhan, please do it, okay? Get rid of this woman. Tell her to leave. She's Somali. She's problematic. You guys, let's just, side note, Minnesota. We're talking about where St. Olaf, okay? We're talking about Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls, played by Betty White. We're talking about Minneapolis, Mary Richards of Mary Tyler Moore Show. Are we supposed to sit here and pretend like this wasn't a state filled with a bunch of white folk, most likely blonde, blue-eyed, big brown eyes with fine hair? We supposed to sit here and pretend like that wasn't what that state looked like? Come on. They're supposed to look like Betty White's and Mary Richards, well, Mary Tyler Moore. That's what they were supposed to be looking like. And we getting Ilhan Omar's in office and cowards like Tampon Tim, afraid to do what's right and best for their people because they're terrified of being called a racist, okay? No. Being Christian does not mean you be a coward and you stand idly by while the sin is allowed to perpetuate. No, you do something. You take action. Jesus was of action. Jesus was of honor, is of honor. And if you can't be honorable, be honest, and do what's right and take action, then you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be in office, Tim Walz. And you certainly shouldn't be allowed to make decisions from the federal government position, Ilhan Omar. Time to take action. I love what he's doing. I totally agree with this. I love what he's doing with this. Get rid of the Somalians. Woman, I was ready to cuss just then. But, this woman, we're not jealous. To all of you Somalians who believe that Black Americans are jealous, no. It's not about jealousy, okay? We don't like you. And I am inclined to believe we don't like you because you disrespect Jesus. You guys get in the comment section to let me know. Do you agree with this? Do you not agree with this? I definitely want to know. I know for those of you guys who are watching, I know you support what the president is doing here. So I love this. I know you guys love this. This is incredible. It's amazing. So thank you guys again for watching. Again, get into the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And definitely hit the notification bell because my episodes, my schedule, that's why you hit the notification bell. So you are aware of when these episodes are getting released. Again, get into the comments because I definitely want to continue this conversation, and we will continue having this conversation about these deportations in the future. Well, moving forward, just to see where we are in the next couple of weeks, months. We'll see. So I love you guys. I'm going to take myself on to work now because I want to be late. I love you guys. And of course, because it's me, Kepla.